What is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Galaxy S20 FE here. It's been a while since we've talked about this device here, and it's a very nice device here. The price has come down tremendously on this phone. It is an older flagship. This one I have is a Verizon version. You can see 212, and then an unlocked version is 224. So very cheap, and I think it's a very interesting buy. And I think it's a really good gaming phone as well too. For 200 bucks, it pretty much blows any mid-range phone out of the water, and pretty much any budget phone in this price range for the specs that you get. So I actually want to kick it off with the design of this phone, because that is sort of the most interesting thing. So this is Samsung's Fan Edition, right? Flagship phone. So basically it just has cutbacks, to the original Galaxy S20 lineup. So it's got a plastic back, which is probably the most noticeable thing, but it's got these metal railings, so it doesn't feel too cheap. But the cool thing about the plastic back is that it's not gonna crack as easy as a glass back, because plastic's a little bit more durable, right? But yeah, so the design on here, it looks pretty good. I think I got a really boring color, but they have some really bright, vibrant colors for this phone as well too, which is something that I really like. But the quality of this phone is really awesome. So this phone did get Android 13, and if you got Android 13, let me know. I have not got mine yet. But I will go ahead and update you guys on that, and it will get 3 years of security patches. All S20 phones will get 3 years of security patches, because Android 13 is the last major OS update. Alright, so it is IP68 and dust water resistant as well too. And one of my favorite things about this phone is the screen on here. I think this phone has a really good screen, and like I said, compared to what you would buy on the market, this has some very nice specs. So in its price range, like I said, 200 bucks, you're getting really nice quality phone. And I believe this was MKBHD Smartphone of the Year award, I believe. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I remember this phone being very high on people's lists when it first came out. So it's got a Super AMOLED display at 6.5 inches. It is also a 1080p screen, 407/40 ppi. Very bright screen. It's completely flat as well too, which a lot of you guys might like as well too. Very bright, vibrant display here. The bezels are somewhat pretty thin. I don't think they're too chunky on here, but I really like the screen on here. It's just super nice and vibrant, classic Samsung display here. So also, I want to go ahead and touch on probably one of the most important things with this phone is the Snapdragon 865 chip on this phone. It is really impressive, especially since this phone has been getting updates. It's a really fast chip, guys. So if you guys saw the gaming test that I did, this thing blows through games, man. So that's why I said for 200 bucks, you're not gonna get a better deal if you want a Samsung device. I would never go for any A series phone over this phone. I would never go for any budget Samsung device like any of those, like the A12s and stuff like that. Just pick this older flagship up. If you're a gamer, you can do everything. It's got top-notch features. So that's why you guys see I don't recommend budget and mid-range phones, because I just don't think they're worth it over these type of devices. So like I said, you guys can see the gaming performance on here. It's pretty sweet. This phone also has micro SD card support as well too. So I think, yeah, the S20 series was it for micro SD card support. So you guys that like to download a lot of storage or download a lot of movies, games, or whatever, you do have that on here. It has 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. There's an 8 gigabyte RAM version as well too out there as well too. So this phone does have all of the Samsung features as well too. So it's got Samsung desktop support on here. It's got Samsung secure folders. It's also got NFC, Dolby Atmos, pretty much everything in the flagship phones. This phone have. It even has the reverse wireless charging on here as well too. So there's really not anything that this phone doesn't have that the newer phones have, besides like the S Pen support and stuff like that. You also have on here some pretty nice stereo speakers. I think it has pretty good bass quality, very good mids and highs, just great clarity overall. The vibration motor is pretty strong in this phone as well too. Also guys, the fingerprint scanner on here is pretty fast as well too. I don't like that it's like really like close to the bottom. So I think Samsung moved it up a little bit because this one is like really far down, but it's fine. You get used to it after a while. That's really fast, and you can also take advantage of the face unlock as well too if you desire to. All right, so one of the, I would say the next best thing to the screen is the cameras on this phone. This phone has pretty good cameras. So it's got a 12 megapixel standard, an 8 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 60 on the front and back, and it has a 32 megapixel lens. Now, that might not sound super fancy compared to the newer Samsung phones with a 108 megapixel lens and, you know, all that good stuff with the zooming and stuff like that. But for anybody who's in a point and stills, not point and stills, point and click, this is going to take some awesome photos. It's giving you pretty much, I still think, very competitive flagship quality shots here. Great dynamic range, give you the same Samsung image processing with a very punchy colors, you know, high contrast, the type of pictures here. And yeah, they look really good. The selfie cam is really good. I really like the skin tones on here. It does a little bit of face smoothing, but it's fine. But like I said, the telephoto is really awesome. It takes some really good zoom shots on here when you need it. The ultra wide is very consistent with the main lens, and I think video is pretty solid on here as well too. And it takes pretty good portraits, pretty good night photography as well too. I think the cameras are still awesome on this device. You guys can see the pictures for yourself. I just think they just look great. So here's the S20. 0.5. And then we have our 3X. Alright, so let's talk about the battery life on this device here. So this phone has a 4500 milliamp battery on here, and you also have 25 watt wired charging, 15 watt wireless charging, and then 4.5 watt reverse wireless charging. Battery life is pretty good on this device. It gets me about a day of battery life still, so I don't have an issue with the overall screen on time. You can easily do around 6 hours of screen on time. And yeah, it's overall a solid device here. So the question is, what are this phone's competitors, right, in the used, you know, old flagship marketplace here? So if you want a Samsung device and you want something a little bit newer with 120 hertz with a really fast chip that you can game on, I would definitely get this over the S10 series phones because it does have the SD card support. The only thing this phone is lacking is like a headphone jack, because I know a lot of people really like headphone jacks. It doesn't have that. But yeah, if you're thinking about getting a Samsung phone, this is actually an extremely sweet deal for 200 bucks. Very, very nice. And, you know, the cameras are great. The screen is great. Battery life is pretty good. And I just don't have any complaints with this phone. At 200 bucks, it just goes above and beyond. It's just extremely good. So be sure to let me know, what do you guys think about the S20 FE? Do you think it's worth getting? You think you should save up and get something else? Or is there another phone for 200 bucks that you guys think is better? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.